These are 10 times Peter Griffin was a terrible friend on Family Guy. Starting with the time Peter destroyed the musical partnership he created with Quagmire in Into Harmony's Way. So while Peter and Quagmire are hanging out together, they discover that their voices go pretty well together.
Hey, can you take it up here?
Wow, Seth MacFarlane agreeing with Seth MacFarlane that their voices sound great. Game recognizes game, I guess.
You know, we should do something with this.
Yeah, maybe we could open up a mattress store.
Or we could try singing.
Well, the mattress store would probably make you more money. Those things have gotta be a money laundering front. There's no way people are buying mattresses that often.
Okay, what do you got for a lyric?
I put a booger on a painting at the museum.
How abstract, how layered. Gonna need genius to do a full lyrical breakdown on this one. Eventually, they managed to put their heads together to come up with some certified bops.
Tomorrow I may buy myself a dining room set or this Boba Fett.
Finally, music for the common man. Move over, Billy Joel. Go not start the fire somewhere else. But their music catches the ear of Mort, who offers to represent them.
You guys got the talent, but what you need is a manager. Someone with no talent who can take a lion's share of your earnings.
Well, it's better than having an agent, I think. I actually don't know if there's a difference between the two. And so the duo lands their first gig at the library, where they bring their revolutionary sound to the general public.
I can't poop in strange places.
This is the music we need more of today. Songs that speak to the very human experience. Not songs about money or how you want to have babies with your tractor. I'm talking that real stuff.
I put your performance on YouTube. The promoters of the New England Music Festival saw it, and they want to book you.
Their songs end up being a big hit with the wider audience, which attracts the attention of an even bigger musical manager.
I don't know, it seems wrong to just dump Mort. He's our friend, doesn't that matter?
Well, friend might be a little generous. At best, he's a prominent background character. But the guys decide to take the new manager up on his offer.
Mort, you're fired.
What?
Sorry, Mort, but this is a cutthroat business.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind cutting your throat yourself away from their view, that would be great. So Peter and Quagmire set out on a 2-month tour over Thanksgiving, taking their eclectic sound all across the country.
Everyone from Florida is stupid. Everyone from Florida is dumb.
Whether or not you agree with the message, you gotta agree it's pretty catchy. People from Florida might be too busy fighting off alligators to even hear this one. But when it comes time for them to start recording a record, things start to get a little tense.
You gonna fart in this airtight booth all night?
It wasn't me.
We're the only 2 people in here.
That's just the creative juices leaving the body. All the greats do it. You think Bob Dylan wasn't reeking like a butt all day every day? And things only get more heated before they go on national television.
Hey, Quagmire, wake up. I got us twins.
Peter, those are guys.
Hell yeah, the Winklevoss twins.
Well, if this music thing doesn't work out, they can always just steal their next idea from them, I suppose. Turns out that might be sooner rather than later.
Wait, Quagmire, you got something on your face.
Ah, damn it, Peter, that was my eyebrow!
Yeah, and it was on your face. Didn't you hear, Peter? But after Peter ruins the performance with his stupidity, Quagmire realizes it's time to call it quits.
All right, we're done. Do you hear me? I quit.
I think this is how Fleetwood Mac broke up too. So they go their own ways. See what I did there? But being away from the limelight helps them realize that they're still friends.
Oh, Quagmire.
Look, you try going on a countrywide tour with your buddy and try to resist wanting to kiss them by the end. So while Peter's actions weren't all that malicious, his inability to read the room or just be normal for 5 seconds is ultimately what killed what could have been a fruitful endeavor for both of them. Yet they managed to mend their broken friendship, which you usually can't say for many former musical partners. But when Joe was left completely broken and paralyzed, Peter opted to ditch him in an asylum in Brokeback Swanson. So the guys hear about a Running of the Bulls event coming to Quahog, and they've had just enough to drink to see this as a good idea.
You guys, we are so doing that bull run.
Buying the tickets as we speak.
But we can't tell Joe.
Of course not, he'll be dead weight.
Well, maybe, but you'd be denying yourselves the pleasure of convincing him to wear a bright red shirt and seeing what happens. But he ends up finding out anyway, which means, like a little brother, the guys are kind of forced to bring him along.
Come on, my handicap has never held me back. I'm coming with you guys.
Alright, but only if you keep the hat on. The only thing bulls universally hate more than the color red is Chef Boyardee. And surprisingly, everything seems to be going well, even for Joe.
Woo, this is amazing! I told you guys I could do it!
But Joe eventually falls victim to the one thing that'll get us all one day: littering. You think throwing that Snickers wrapper on the ground is fine? It won't seem like it one night when you wake up to that wrapper holding a knife to your throat. And one trampling and impalement later, Joe realizes that when it comes to paralysis, he ain't seen nothing yet.
I can't feel anything below my neck! I can't move a muscle, guys!
He's now basically living that action movie Novocaine, only it's way less cool and way more sad.
Mr. Swanson has lost all movement and will require around-the-clock care. Most of it disgusting.
At least he can rest assured that he's surrounded by people who love him and Bonnie's tapping out.
I'm leaving Joe and moving to Europe. I didn't sign up for this.
I don't think Joe signed up for an 8-year pregnancy either, but we played the cards life dealt us. Now if only life weren't the worst dealer imaginable.
Look, guys, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. You go ahead and live your lives. I'll be fine.
But that's not what true friends do. True friends kinda half-heartedly try for a few minutes first before ultimately just giving up.
That's why I looked into it, and we've reserved a place for him at the State Home for Mentals and Bastards.
So Peter and the guys decide to just dump Joe off there, but not without leaving with a few touching words.
Backdraft, you finally watched it.
Yeah,
Wasn't it great?
I thought it was stupid.
Look, if Peter can't appreciate the 90s firefighting classic, then maybe Joe's better off without him. But it takes some scolding from Lois to finally convince Peter that what he did was wrong.
Peter, those places are a horror show. Joe's your friend. How could you treat him like that?
Well, yeah, Joe is completely paralyzed and unable to take care of himself, but did she ever consider how this affected his neighbor? But the guys thankfully go get him, apologizing for running off so quickly.
We're all really sorry we abandoned you.
Yeah, we just kind of got overwhelmed and all freaked out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Joe could fully relate to them going through a big change in their life. So they decide to call Dr. Hartman to get Joe released, but it looks like Peter must have backdialed Joe. Wait, that's not how that works.
Dr. Hartman must have dropped his phone in Joe when he was looking at his spine.
If you told me Hartman was Googling how to perform back surgery while he was performing the surgery, that would be the least surprising thing I've heard in my life.
I'm just glad to be back on my feet. Well, you know what I mean.
So this moment is slightly lower on the list because Peter wasn't alone in Joe's mistreatment. Quagmire and Cleveland are also guilty, and don't even get me started on Bonnie. I guess she just takes him back? Joe really needs to sit up for himself more. And when Peter used his hobby of sitting in front of the TV to change television shows, he ended up ruining it for everyone else in Ratings Guy. So the Griffins receive a letter with some exciting news for the family.
You have been specially selected from amongst millions of American households to be a Nielsen family.
Well, no surprise there. I think the TV is the most used appliance in that house. It is their teacher, their preacher, and in some cases, their lover.
It sounds like they want us to be part of a select group of people that helps determine what's on TV.
Say goodbye, violence in movies and sex on TV. Good old-fashioned value heads, your day has finally come.
This Nielsen box will keep track of everything you watch, which helps us generalize the viewing habits of millions of Americans.
Look, if the Griffins are going to be treated as a reflection of the average American family, we might already be doomed. Just hit the reset button and let's try again in a couple billion years.
So, what are we gonna watch?
Boobs!
Project Runway! The Good Wife!
That black version of our show.
Can you imagine what the world would have been like if they used their influence for the Cleveland show? You might have been watching the Sweaty Stool channel instead. But Peter decides to use his newfound power to make some worthwhile changes.
Is there anything we can do to make the news more appealing to you?
Maybe. I guess you could lose the mustache.
Peter must have seen where we were heading with the mustache and mullet trend and wanted to put a stop to it. But it turns out that not everybody has the same ideas for what makes great television.
Oh, what the hell? What's going on with the news? This is terrible.
Yeah, has he lost his mind?
Worse, his mustache. That's practically like a lobotomy for him.
If you're a Nielsen family, it seems like you should maybe be a little more thoughtful with your choices.
Joe, that would suggest that Peter has any thoughts to give. Seems to me like he's just firing from the hip. Shoot first, ask questions never. But at least with only one Nielsen box, Peter only has the power to affect local shows.
We're no longer one Nielsen family. We're 100. More boxes, more power.
I think that was the slogan for the Xbox Series X. That monstrosity looks like you could drop that on someone's head and it would turn them into an accordion. But with all this sway in television, Peter starts to make changes to beloved shows like Mad Men.
What the hell was that?
Well, more time for lightsabers means less time for 70s sexism, so somebody might be happy about that. But to be expected, appealing to an audience of one is only going to make the rest of the audience angry.
You ruined television. Now it's just a big old silly mess.
So these are the dangers of focusing too much on feedback. Please let us know in the comments how we should feel about that.
You put a real cougar on Cougar Town, and now that cougar's dead because Courtney Cox ripped it apart with her teeth and claws.
I'm sorry, were they protesting Peter's bad ideas? Because that sounds like must-see television. But all of Peter's changes have more or less made him an outcast in town.
Thanks to you, TV's a vast wasteland. You know how I know that phrase? I read it in a book, you monster!
Yeah, the only reading worth doing is with the subtitles. I can't believe there are people out there just raw dogging TV without them. So to make things right, Peter gathers all the most brilliant minds of television to make everything go back to the way it was.
Now who's gonna make a show about horrible New Jersey freaks? You know what? I don't care. Just someone do it.
Way ahead of you, Peter. I've got Daniel Day-Lewis on the line, as this might finally be the role that pulls him out of retirement. And with that, Peter's pals finally like him again.
Guys, I'm sorry for screwing up all your favorite shows.
That's okay, Peter.
So while this wasn't just a targeted offense at his friends, they were caught in the crossfire of playing television god. Peter should have known better. Only Steve Buscemi can do that. And Peter should have known better than to take Joe's classic car because he ended up totaling it in Boy's best friend. So Joe's recently come into possession of a nice vintage car.
My Uncle Ray passed away last week, but he left me his vintage sports car.
Joe, that's amazing that your uncle died.
Sounds like somebody's got to work on not saying the quiet part out loud. Sure, Joe wouldn't have this car if his uncle hadn't died, so in a roundabout way this is awesome, but you shouldn't say it.
He also left me everything I need to convert my garage to a 1950s-style diner.
Significantly less cool, but now they can finally see how to make Coca-Cola the old-fashioned way.
We were wondering if you'd take us for a spin in your new car.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Hop in.
But for Joe, a drive in this car is just turning the wheel and making engine noises. Doesn't he know the guys need to be way more drunk to find this fun?
Well, ever since I was 9, I've dreamed of driving this car someday, but I'm not allowed. It's in my uncle's will.
Well, I don't know why your uncle owned a guy named Will, but I doubt he's gonna do anything if you were to take it out for a little spin. But if Joe won't do it, somebody else is gonna.
Are you suggesting we take it out without telling Joe?
He's left us no choice.
So the guys decide to do a little Grand Theft Auto with the old car. Grandfather Theft Auto? Is that anything?
You guys mind if I drive with my knees while I make some last-minute fantasy football changes?
Well, if you can't do it while you're driving, when are you supposed to do it? But unsurprisingly, Peter ends up wrecking the car.
Oh my God!
Holy crap!
Oh man, Joe is gonna be so pissed!
And rightfully so. Also, was somebody throwing away slabs of cement? What the heck was in those things to do all that damage?
I'm pretty sure I can pound this out.
Well, now it looks less like it was crashed and more like it was attacked by the Hulk, so that's a better cover. But since Joe has no clue what their cover-up was referencing, they're pretty much compelled to admit to what they did.
We're really sorry, Joe. We took it without asking and wrecked it.
Luckily, the weight of having to worry about the car was a much greater pain than having it destroyed, so Joe's actually cool with this. But with the car dead, so too is Joe's dream of driving it.
I couldn't drive this car even if I wanted to.
I'm not so sure about that.
Now those are some real friends, ready to die with you in this not street-legal death trap just so you can live your dream. Still, Peter's idea to take the car was ultimately still pretty selfish. We've all got an Uncle Ray we're waiting on to die, and Peter has to wait like everybody else. But Peter couldn't wait to completely steal Joe's identity so he could have the dad he always wanted and Papa has a rollin' son. So Father's Day is around the corner, but this is one holiday Joe isn't really looking forward to.
Yeah, my dad's out there somewhere, but I haven't spoken to him in years.
Yeah, it would be hard to face my dad if I lost a fight to the Grinch too. That's not even what really happened, and yet it's less embarrassing than what really happened to Joe.
You got a perfectly good dad. You can't waste that. You gotta call him up for Father's Day.
Peter, I don't even know where he is.
Luckily, we're living in the modern age where you can dox anyone with a few Google searches.
Found Joe's dad on the internet, and he just emailed me to say he's coming tomorrow.
Too bad the last thing Joe wanted around on Father's Day was his father. But without him, that day is just day.
You shouldn't have done that, Peter. My father's not going to be happy to see me.
Which makes sense because Joe's dad apparently always made fun of handicapped people growing up, which caused Joe to never tell him what happened.
I never told him!
Dude, don't cry in front of the beer. You're gonna embarrass them. But with Joe's dad already on his way to Quahog, the team will have to come up with a way to keep him from facing the facts.
We'll just figure out a way to hide your handicap from your dad.
Hide the fact that I can't walk.
Yeah, I mean, you could just spend the whole visit sitting. Blame it on your bum knee. Tell your dad you could have gone pro if not for your onset arthritis. But after a few failed ideas, Peter lands on the closest to perfect one.
I'll just pretend to be you. I mean, your dad ain't seen you in years. He won't know the difference.
Because if his dad isn't accepting of handicapped people, he's definitely accepting of the overweight. But one girdle later, and Peter's looking quite voluptuous. That's something you can call a guy, right?
Huh? Huh?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And with that ringing endorsement, Peter's ready to meet his father from another neighbor.
Joe? Wow, I guess it really has been a long time. I barely recognize you. Put on a little weight, haven't you?
Yeah, and you must have put on a little glaucoma on your eyes. So while Peter's doing that, Joe decides to fill in for Peter. No real reason for him to do that, it's not like he has much else going on.
Oh, this'll be fun. Let's see how long it takes them to get Gumby over there into the car.
Hey, Gumby's one of our great American heroes. Put some respect on his name. But Peter's enjoying being Joe so much that he's not really looking to give that up.
Bud's not leaving. I told him he can move in with me and Bonnie.
What?
I mean, it makes sense. Peter's dad's on the other side of the world, probably celebrating with 100 other illegitimate children. And he's already had one dad who was a total lie, so what's the harm in one more?
I'm thinking that I've had 2 dads, and neither one cared for me as much as Bud does.
But after being embarrassed enough times, Joe's willing to show he's more of a man than Peter, even without the essential body parts.
Get away from me, you son of a...
Ah! What the hell?
Having a handicapped son is one thing, but a son who got beaten up by a handicapped man? Hope Peter didn't get too attached to Bud, because he might be dead to him now.
You're my son. You can't let yourself get beat up by a guy in a wheelchair.
Your son is a guy in a wheelchair.
So Joe finally comes clean to his dad, and his dad finally comes to terms with his son's condition.
I guess I could never stand the thought of something like that happening to me. Or even worse, to someone that I care about.
Yeah, you can't hate your son for things out of his control. You gotta hate him for the choices he makes. And trust me, there are plenty that Bud has to work with there.
Hey, listen, Joe, I'm sorry I treated you like such a jerk.
Well, that's okay, Peter.
Yeah, Peter's daddy issues were definitely clouding his judgment. But still, all those handicap jokes he had ready to rip definitely speaks volumes to how he views Joe. But deep down, he was still envious of what Joe had. Cleveland better hide his dad, because the things Peter will have to do to pretend to be Cleveland would be a bit more egregious. And Peter would use his egregious cooking habits to outshine Quagmire when the latter landed himself a cooking show and pilling them softly. So Jerome's trying to introduce food to the bar, but Quagmire has some spicy opinions.
This tastes like Ani DeFranco after a bike ride.
What, you're telling me this nice lady wouldn't make for an excellent taco? But who knew Quagmire was such a food snob?
I am a good cook, and I'll prove it to you. Saturday night, you and all your wives are coming to my place for dinner.
But you know, maybe give the food and drink an extra good sniff. I don't exactly trust whatever secret ingredients Quagmire's usually working with. But when it comes time for Quagmire to put his food where their mouths are, everyone walks away pretty impressed.
You could probably make money at this.
Yeah, maybe you could open a restaurant.
Or maybe get a cooking show.
Hey, whatever keeps this guy off the street. And wouldn't you know it, Channel 5 has a slot that needs to be filled. Giggity.
Not bad.
Also, the tomatoes can be eyes, and the lettuce can be hair.
The show's producer is so entertained that he decides to hire both of them as a package deal. Quagmire will cook, and Peter will make him laugh. Sounds exactly like every group project I've ever been in. I haven't forgotten about you, Jason, you slacker.
Now, this mince pie is about ready to go, just needs a pinch of cinnamon.
And while we're at it, how about we take this cinnamon challenge?
Sure, you could add your spices all daintily and cowardly like this guy, but why not apply it like a true maestro of the kitchen by coughing it up like a cloud kill spell from D&D? But of course, Quagmire quickly runs out of patience for Peter's unsanctioned buffoonery.
Nothing like a night at the theater that ends in a headache.
Damn it, Peter, that's it. I can't do this show with you anymore. You're fired!
Now, will that be flame broiled or roasted? I prefer my Peter a little medium rare. What can I say? He's got good juices. Don't clip that.
We'd like to offer you your own cooking show.
So Quagmire continues his traditional cooking show while Peter gets loud next door with his more in-your-face show.
Add butter to taste. Delicious! Butter dunk!
It's got everything people love. Poppin' music, girls in bikinis, and food that makes your heart beat really slow. It's the closest way to see God without dying.
This is an insult to anyone who cares about cooking. Either you leave the network or I do.
Well, there's only one way to settle this, but they don't go with a blood fist fight in the parking lot, so I guess there's more than one way to settle this.
A cook-off it is. See you in the kitchen, jerk.
I'll see you in hell, loser.
Hell does seem like a good place to do it. You don't have to worry about preheating anything. So with Joe in Quagmire's corner and Cleveland and Peter's, both sides prepare for the biggest battle public broadcast has ever seen.
Remember, the winner gets to keep his TV show. And the secret ingredient is... butter.
Peter might have this in the bag. Butter literally flows through his veins. The doctors haven't given him long, but long enough that he may just win this thing.
Son of a bitch, I never cook with butter.
A man who deprives himself of life's pleasures cannot expect to pleasure others. A guy with no pants on the street told me that once. But Quagmire's side quickly breaks down, and it looks like he's about to be out of a job.
I can't do this.
It's then that Peter realizes just how much this cooking show meant to his buddy. He could just forfeit, but then that would be a waste of perfectly good uncooked butter.
And in a stunning turn of events, Chef Griffin is eating his entire meal.
Well, after Peter drops dead in the next 5 minutes, they'll at least be able to put good friend on his tombstone.
You're the mini stroke, one with the real heart attack talent. You heart attack deserve the show.
Peter does turn things around by the end, but let's not forget the selfishness he displayed that nearly sabotaged his friend's dream. Still, potentially disabling half of your body with butter is quite nice of him to do. But Peter would become the face of Joe's children's book on disabilities, using it to turn handicapped people into a punchline in the Book of Joe. So while at Joe's for a pool party, Peter comes across a room covered in cartoon squirrel art.
Hey, Joe, what are all these pictures?
Oh, nothing. They're just some stupid scribbles I've been working on for a children's book.
Yeah, good cover, Joe. Can't let Peter know you've been working on your first Sona for years. Joe has some reservations about publishing the books, but Peter encourages him to shoot for the stars.
Come on, Joe, you can't be afraid. Hey, what if Bono had been afraid to wear sunglasses? Then nobody would know about Africa.
Well, that's what Toto's Africa is for. Because as we all know, a place doesn't really exist until there's a popular song about it. Amsterdam, Budapest, Kokomo. Wait, Kokomo actually isn't real. I doubt the Beach Boys were singing about Kokomo, Indiana.
Peter, I took your advice and sent my book to a publisher. They're gonna publish The Hopeful Squirrel.
And if he sells at least one copy, he'll already be a more accomplished writer than Brian. And no, the self-help book doesn't count. That's like bowling with the bumpers up. But Joe's author dreams might be in jeopardy when his live reading to children doesn't go over smoothly.
Hey, eyes front, I'm talking!
Don't tell my kid what to do!
Well, maybe if you did, I wouldn't have to.
Yeah, the man just doesn't understand what the kids want. To be fair, I don't really either. I think it's this? But I can't look at this for too long or else I'll get an aneurysm. Luckily, Peter's standing by to make the save.
For if I could not forgive, then I would be truly handicapped.
It takes a child's brain to understand a child's brain, so yeah, Peter may just be right for the job. A good thing Joe decided to write with a pen name, which means Peter can easily slide into the role of the book's author.
You would write the books, and your friend Peter would be the public face of the Hopeful Squirrel.
Prominent voice of the handicapped Peter Griffin, everybody. It's too bad Peter doesn't have the slightest idea of how to publicly represent the marginalized group.
I'd see these kids limping down the sidewalk on my way to work, and I would just laugh and laugh.
Well, they always say write what you know. Unfortunately, the only thing Peter knows about the handicapped is that he finds them funny.
You totally screwed up my book. You're getting kids to laugh at handicapped people when I'm trying to inspire them.
That means the publisher has to make a choice. Stick with the author or the guy who can do a funny little voice. I don't think you gotta think too hard about which one kids prefer.
You've ruined this for me. I want nothing to do with the book, and I want nothing to do with you.
But that just means Peter will have to be the voice and the face of the series going forward.
Now the publisher wants another book, and it's all on me.
Don't worry, this children's writing is easy. Just hit him with enough key-jingling slop that could paralyze an elephant and you should be good.
The monkey's kick-ass buzzsaw hand tore his head open. His brains! His brains!
Sounds like he got Robert Rodriguez to co-write for him. But I guess his story about a maniac squirrel is just too highbrow for the kids these days.
You're awful!
That was the worst!
We had trouble hearing you in the back.
Don't worry, Peter. Like all great authors, your work will be appreciated long after you're dead. But Peter finally apologizes to Joe for stealing his spotlight.
If I could not forgive, then I would be truly handicapped.
What?
It's from the book, Peter.
Peter's addiction to local fame nearly cost him his relationship with Joe, who only wanted to do something positive with his book. There's certainly a lesson to be learned from all this. Kids are not interested in squirrels. There's a reason no one remembers Squirrel Boy or Scaredy Squirrel. And Peter suddenly became uninterested in handicapped people when he opened up a new restaurant, leading him to go to war with Joe and No Meals on Wheels. So in an effort to stop Peter's statically charged hijinks, Lois opts to have all the carpet in the house ripped up.
All right, we're going Brazilian. Hey, what's this? Some kind of really old coin.
I have a feeling that we'll have to explain to the next few generations what a coin even is, at least one not of the bit variety. But it turns out this coin is not worth its original value.
This is an 18th century Rhode Island ship token. This thing's gotta be worth 50 grand.
You could buy the whole ship with that kind of money. But Peter doesn't become a pirate until next season, so Lois suggests a different use for the money.
Well, here's another chance to open a restaurant.
And so they do just that, opening up just what every town needs. Another American diner. Finally, a place where people can eat a hamburger and drink a beer. Revolutionary.
I have some bad news. I just finished going over the books, and this restaurant is hemorrhaging money.
I'm no doctor. Is hemorrhaging one of the good things your body can do? Like, are all the kids getting together and doing a little hemorrhaging? But what any good restaurant needs is customers.
You know, Peter, my buddies and I have been looking for a new hangout.
Yeah, that'll boost business, stuffing your place with a bunch of cops. You're really gonna kill the underage drinking crowd that's the backbone of many local restaurants. But it's not cops Joe was talking about.
I thought you were bringing your car. cop friends over. What are all these parallelograms doing here?
You mean paraplegics?
No, he meant what he said. They've got a sign outside that says you need at least 4 sides to dine at their place.
I wanted a cool restaurant, not the cafeteria at the Veterans Hospital.
So to make his restaurant a little cooler, Peter decides to take part in some good old-fashioned discrimination.
I don't want you and your kind eating here anymore. You're ruining what was supposed to be a cool establishment.
What exactly about your place was supposed to be cool, Peter? You're no Dave & Buster's, where all the games are covered in food grease and every cocktail has enough alcohol in it to fuel a car.
If that's the way you want it, but we're not gonna go down easy. Okay, that was easy.
But Joe and his friends have something a little less easy to just be knocked over.
Very well, Peter, you leave us no choice. Men, form up Tron!
Huh, I must have stopped watching Transformers before this one got introduced, because I don't remember this one. Well, he's better than whatever the heck these guys were. But it doesn't take long for the Transformer to come crumbling down, right on top of Peter's restaurant and his legs.
I'm afraid he'll never walk again. Without remembering how lucky he is that he'll only be in this wheelchair for 2 weeks.
Stellar diagnosis, Doctor. You almost had to add heart attack to Peter's report. And one sobering Elton John sung montage later, Peter realizes he was wrong to discriminate against Joe and his friends because of their condition.
I've been in a wheelchair for 45 minutes now, and I see how tough it is.
Most people could figure that out without a barely sprained ankle, but at least Peter learns his lesson. Still, this has to be one of the more malicious things Peter's done to a friend, all because of a part of themselves they can't control. But Peter would act even more maliciously towards Joe and Quagmire after winning the lottery, torturing them in a variety of ways in the episode Lottery Fever. So the Griffins are a bit strapped for cash as of late, which is pretty much their default setting, come to think of it.
We're running seriously low on cash right now. In fact, I may have to get my own full-time job.
But if you do that, then who's gonna drink all the daytime wine? It's called daytime wine for a reason. But there may be another way the family can make some money.
The Rhode Island State Lottery has climbed to a record $150 million jackpot.
Well, they do tell you gotta spend money to make money, and I would be shocked to hear of a time gambling didn't turn out well for somebody.
Where did you get the money for all these?
Simple. I took out a second mortgage on a house.
What?
Peter, this is idiotic.
It's true that your odds of winning are way lower than 1 in a million, but you know who never wins the lottery? People who don't play. Checkmate, Yahtzee, and Bazinga. The diamonds are just in reach, you just gotta dig a little deeper.
Time for the Griffin family to meet its destiny.
When we lose, I'm getting a divorce.
Understood.
Have it your way, Lois. More broken legs at the hands of tax collectors for Peter. And when the numbers get announced, the family goes into a flurry to see if they have the winning ticket.
Well, that's it. 3 days wasted looking through 200,000 lottery tickets.
Well, I guess there's no harm in looking at just one more then.
We won!
What?
Let me see that. Yes, we won the lottery!
It's that easy, ladies and gentlemen. Now take some money from your mom's purse and get out there. And of course, now that they're rich, that means everybody they know is going to come out of the woodwork to see if they can get a little piece of the action.
What would you rather do? Tread water where you are right now? Or increase your net worth 5-fold within the next 18 months?
In English, please, Poindexter? Not all of us have a community college business degree and can understand all that mumbo-jumbo.
Well, my friend Marty is a whiz with chemistry, and he says he's come up with a new enlargement pill.
Gonna stop you right there, man. We already know where this one's going. Quagmire and Joe both want some money, and they're willing to shove their heads so far up Peter's butt to get it.
If you're gonna open your mouth with the missus, stick to kisses, eh?
Settle down, hyenas. But when they try to dip out, Peter thinks they haven't done enough brown-nosing yet.
I thought friends hang out, do things with each other. You know, especially when one friend gives the other friends a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, haven't you ever heard that donations aren't free? So now Peter has the leverage to ask his friends to do whatever he wants them to do.
Hey, Peter, you wanted me to watch the entire first season of True Blood and come show you where there was boob?
Some requests, obviously, are a little less painful than others.
I want you to take the first bite out of this fudge pop, because that first bite is the one that really hurts.
Why is it that when some people get power, they just want to open up Guantanamo Bay in their house? Can't you just make big donations to a Twitch streamer like a regular person? But there are just some things that aren't worth the money, like getting shot with a BB gun in old-time vaudeville.
Hey, Joe, open your eye. Gotcha!
What the hell, Peter? You shot him in the eye!
Yeah, I think the hint to that was asking Joe to open his eye and all the missed shots that came close to his eye. But this moment ends up being the BB that broke the camel's eye.
Go to hell, Peter! We don't need your money, and we don't need friends like you!
Yeah, we're out of here!
But once the family loses all of their millions, look who comes crawling back to Joe and Quagmire.
I thought being rich would solve all my problems, but All it did was make me forget what was important.
Yeah, I remember when I won 25 bucks on a scratch off and tried to feed my friends to alligators. Money really does turn good men bad. We get where Peter was coming from to an extent, but him holding money over his friends' heads just to hurt them has to be one of the scummiest things he's ever done to them. But Peter would get even scummier when he decided to start pimping Quagmire out after the latter became a stripper in American Gigolo. So when Quagmire decides to crash a bachelorette party, his work uniform has the girls thinking only one thing.
Finally, the stripper's here!
What? No, I'm not a stripper, I'm a pilot.
Maybe so, but based on all that cash being thrown, Quagmire might just have to let it fly if you smell what I'm stepping in.
Yeah! All right, who wants me to stow my bag under their seat?
Make sure you switch your device to airplane mode because Quagmire does not want the guys finding out about this. But when he starts acting suspicious, they have no choice but to tail him.
Where the hell's Quagmire going? The airport's that way.
And after enough tailing, they come across Quagmire's new line of work.
Ladies, this is your pilot speaking. I am in the full, upright, and locked position.
Now this whole thing might be startling to them, but I'm more startled by the image of seeing Quagmire's head from the side. Something about it is just unnatural.
God, I'm so embarrassed.
Why? Stripping is a very respectable profession.
It's true, it's one of the foundations our great nation was built upon. That's why Christopher Columbus came here. He wasn't looking for religious freedom, he was looking for the freedom to throw it back crazy style.
My friend is about to get married, and we were wondering if you'd have with her for $500.
And just like that, Quagmire's made the transition from dancer to gigolo, which is just the polite way of saying he's an escort, which is just the nice way of saying he's a naughty boy. But if you're gonna live this kind of life, you're gonna need some muscle to make sure you get the money you're owed.
I can do this all day. I love buttons.
Fine, here's your money.
Looks like these guys just might be a match made in whatever circle of hell these two are from. So Peter lends Quagmire a hand with his line of work, but it doesn't take long for him to really get into character.
You tripping, boy? You're going out if I tell you you're going out.
I don't like where this is going for Quagmire, but damn it if Peter doesn't look dapper in that fit. Maybe he can just remove a few rings so the pimp slaps don't hurt as much. But hey, at least they're getting featured in an HBO documentary. Believe it or not, this is how a lot of people in Hollywood got their start.
Being a dude is no fun. You have to work nights, weekends.
Among with many other things I would probably lead with first. Buddy, this is 2025. There's no such thing as a work-life balance anymore.
Hey baby, you want to party?
Get in.
But it's not all glamorous like Quagmire's making it seem, as every now and then you run into one of those people who's into some weird stuff.
Big Pete, help! She wants to do German things! German things!
I'm gonna guess that it involves a lot of schnitzel, which the American body just cannot handle. Especially the way she's planning on using them.
She's got us both! Help us, pimps in Help us, HBO camera crew!
So once Pimp Peter gets a taste of the bad life, he decides to give up on this line of work and frees Quagmire.
I'm sorry about all this. I guess I just got caught up in the money and assumed you were okay with it because of the
This reminds me of the story of Icarus. You know, the one where he built wings made of beeswax, and when that didn't make him any money, he tricked his body out for money. That's how I remember it, at least. But yeah, Peter took advantage of people taking advantage of Quagmire, and that's just not how a friendship's supposed to work. But if you enjoyed this video, why not share it with a friend? While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.